During his State of the Union address last night, President Biden had to regain control over a rowdy chamber, especially when it came to his comments about some Republicans' plans for Social Security. But today, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is accusing the president of trying to bait his members into bad behavior, and he issued this warning.
The president was trying to goat the members, and the members are passionate about it. But the one thing the president was saying is something that he knew was not true. I just spent an hour with him. I've said it many times before. Social Security and Medicare are off the table. He tries to use that for a political ploy. We need to be smart. Don't take the bait. Stay with the American public about what we want to do.
Joined now by Republican Congressman Michael Burgess. He represents a district there in Texas. Congressman, good to have you.
Hi, Victor. Thank you for having me on.
So let's start here with the Republicans' behavior last night during the speech. Do you regret the way that members of your conference behaved there during the State of the Union address?
Well, we're all responsible for our own behavior. It's not the response that I put forward last night, but I do think the speaker is absolutely correct. I mean, the president has made he's made a habit since the middle of October in saying that Republicans want to cut Medicare and Social Security. That's just absolutely not true. And in fact, I would just point out to people, the only cutting to Medicare that has occurred in the last 2 years has been at the president's hand. It's been at his agencies, at his Secretary of Health. So the policies that they put forward in the American Rescue Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act seriously adversely affected physician payments in Medicare. You talk to any doctor in the country, ask them how they've done the last 2 years, and in the face of this inflationary pressure, they've had pay cut after pay cut, and it's not sustainable. But that's not Republicans, that is the president, that is congressional Democrats.
Let's talk about what got this huge reaction from the president, from Republicans there to what the president said. I'm going to play what the president said about some Republicans' plan for Social Security and Medicare, and then we'll talk.
Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion.
I don't know what conversion is.
We saw
a
Congresswoman, I think he meant converting from wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare to now not. But we saw Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene there twice call him a liar. Let me read to you from Senator Rick Scott's plan to rescue America. This is page 36. All federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. Of course, Medicare and Social Security would be under that. Senator Ron Johnson has said that entitlement should be made discretionary. Those would have to be voted on every year. So where is the lie?
Well, look, here's the simple truth. Social Security and Medicare are both backstopped by trust funds. Those trust funds, according to the trustees responsible, are in serious trouble. Medicare in 2026, Social Security in 2030. When those trust funds are exhausted, there are things that happen to beneficiaries, and those things are the benefits are reduced. That's just a fact. That's not a law that anyone is putting forward.
You do acknowledge that there are Republicans who do want to sunset every federal legislation after 5 years, and that there is a senator who wants after a year to turn it to discretionary.
This is important because
yes, it is.
If Congress does not work together, I mean, I'm old enough to remember when Senator Dole and Senator Monahan, back in I think it was 1983 or 84, got together and came up with a plan to save Social Security. It affected people my age, because then when I get to age 65, the retirement age now is 67. Okay,
sure.
It was a long time in phasing in, but they came together, they worked out a problem because they saw what was dead ahead, and what was dead ahead was a reduction in benefits for people who are depending on those programs. So there's no reason in the world we can't have those types of discussions, but we can't have them if people are just talking from purely political talking points.
I understand what you're saying, Congressman. There's a distinction between my question and your answer, but you have answered. One more here on fentanyl. The president pointed out the 70,000 people a year who die from just the tiniest bit of this lethal drug. Here's the moment from last night.
Fentanyl is killing more than 70,000 Americans a year. Big, you got it.
You heard there, Congressman from Tennessee shout, "It's your fault."
Yeah, that wasn't me. I'll just point out, but
I get that,
I
but
heard it.
is it the president's fault?
Look, the problem is with the absolute erosion of control at the border in Texas, the southern border. And I get it, the Democrats say, oh, it's coming in at points of entry, it's not illegal immigrants bringing this stuff in. The problem is the number of people the Customs and Border Protection, DEA officials are required to, in their custodial care, they can't keep up with what's coming across in the points of entry. So the fact of the matter is that because of loss of control of the southern border, and I lay that precisely at the feet of President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas, because of their policies, they have created this crisis. Look, I worked really hard on the SUPPORT Act back in 2018, getting control of the opiate crisis. I thought it was important. We made some important strides, but now fentanyl is a different disease, and it is so deadly, and it's pervasive on social media. I didn't understand this until just the other day in one of our roundtables about Snapchat and how that is delivering fentanyl to the doors of 16-year-olds who are then overdosing and dying. That's wrong. We got to stop it.
You make a good point that it has to be stopped. I will make this point, though, as we wrap up here. You say that the policies of the president and the Homeland Security Secretary created this. If we look at the trajectory of fentanyl coming into the country, this started to really take off in 2019. So just to put the numbers on the screen and add them to the conversation. Congressman Michael Burgess, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.